Hey everybody, Mike Hansen, back with another Bite-Sized Tech Plus for Vintage Viewers video. Today's subject is I am an Apple convert. The video is going to talk about why I'm an Apple convert and should you be one too. So let's get into it. My digital device journey started somewhere around 1984 and 1985. I was helping my sister and my dad clear out a closet and happened upon a box that had a TRS-80 in it. What's a TRS-80? It was one of the first mass-marketed personal computers ever. It was marketed by Radio Shack in the late 70s and early 80s. My sister and my dad had intended on learning how to use it, but got overwhelmed fairly quickly. I was interested, so I asked them if I could have it, and they let me take it away. Over the next year or so, I exploited everything that little machine would do. I learned basic language, and one of the things that's a crack up now in reference is all media was stored on a cassette tape. Imagine that in today's day and age of digital storage. Anyway, it soon went by the wayside for me as well. So flash forward to 1991. The company that I was working for was going out of business, and I had an opportunity to acquire an IBM PS2 with a 286 processor. I bought it for a very cheap price, and not knowing one damn thing about PCs, I started to learn about it. I converted it from PC-DOS to MS-DOS. I increased the storage space. I put some additional memory in it. I changed out the video card. I did basically everything that you could tinker with in that machine. And I used it for a number of years for WordPerfect and DrawPerfect, which are programs some of you may remember from ancient history. And I also, during that time, became a frequent flyer at Egghead Software. I'm sure those guys hated it every time they saw me come through the door because I always had a whole raft of questions for them about this software or that hardware or whatever. So that was kind of my beginning with PCs, and I became a PC acolyte because I liked to tinker with stuff. And right up until 2016, when I bought my last Windows machine, which was a very nice Dell with an Intel i7 processor, I was pretty pleased with that. But then came 2018. In 2018, two things intersected for me. The first was I got my FAA Part 107 certification to fly my drones. The second was I was reading the biography of Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. I had been through 8 different tablets to do the visualization to fly my drone. Androids, Windows, none of them worked well. They were all bulky in one way or the other. The screen wasn't bright enough. They didn't connect well, whatever. As an act of almost desperation for an anti-Apple guy, I decided to check out an iPad Mini 4. I bought one, and truthfully, I've never gone back. I still fly my drones today with an iPad Mini. The other thing was me reading Walter Isaacson's book about Steve Jobs. It gave me a whole new perspective on Jobs, and I really changed my mind about a lot of things with regard to Apple. The iPad Mini helped. The book cemented my respect for Apple as a company and Steve Jobs as a visionary. Up until that time, I had always kind of thought of Steve Jobs in one light, that he was an arrogant, egotistical jerk. And maybe he was those things. I think maybe yes. But he was much more complex than that, as I found out when I was reading Walter Isaacson's book on Jobs. And an interesting thing about that book was Steve Jobs actually hired Walter Isaacson to write that book. He said, go around and talk to anybody that knows me or has known me, write whatever they say. I don't even want to read it. And as far as I know, Steve Jobs never read that book. But what that did was it gave me a sense of Jobs as somebody who wanted to be remembered for what he was. And that impressed me quite a bit. As I got into the book, I certainly found that Jobs was a much more complex personality than an egotistical, arrogant jerk. He was a lot of things. He was really a visionary. And one of the things that had always bugged me about Apple products, you can't tinker with them. It's not like you can upgrade them. It's not like you can do a whole bunch of stuff to them. They're pretty much sealed technology. But as I found out with the iPad Mini 4, I didn't need to tinker with it. I didn't want to tinker with it. And those were the two intersecting lines, my drone piloting and reading the book about Steve Jobs. So I came away from both of those things. A different opinion was in my head. And I started looking at Apple devices seriously as my devices needed to be replaced. Steve Jobs always talked about system integration, ease, and the elegance of the design of the product. And those are things that I appreciate very much. When I fix something or make something, I don't want anybody to tinker with it because, as Steve Jobs famously said at one point or another, I'm not going to make these so that people can tinker with them because they're perfect to start with. There's that arrogance. But is it arrogance if you back it up with a product that actually works all the time? I don't know. I don't think so. So after I'd been using the iPad Mini 4 for a while, I had digested the Steve Jobs book, I had to go looking for a new desktop computer to replace my Dell laptop. I had gotten into photo editing, video editing, and to be honest with you, even though the Windows machine was a good one, it wasn't good enough to do the work of photo editing and video editing that I needed to do. It was slow, it was bulky, it felt like the programs were made for another platform and ported over to Windows, which in many cases they were. So I went shopping for another Apple product. I ended up with an iMac 27-inch Retina display that worked right out of the box. It worked flawlessly. I never had a single problem. I never had to call anybody for support. Now that's one of those things with the Windows computers as well. Who do you call? Do you call the manufacturer? Do you call Microsoft? Who do you call? With my machines, if I need help, which I never have, I call Apple. So, the one-stop shop. Anyway, I was sold. And after the iMac came a MacBook Pro, an iPhone, an Apple Watch, another iPad Mini, and I've been an Apple convert ever since. So 2018 was the year when this happened for me. I am still, to this day, a very happy Apple user. In January of this year, I purchased a new iMac. It's only a 24-inch, but it has the Apple M4 processor, which is amazing. I don't wait around for anything on this computer. It has, again, been flawless right out of the box. So, Steve Jobs, thanks. You did a great job, and you continue to sell me on Apple products every day, even though you've been gone all this time. Thanks for watching today. I appreciate you all. So remember to like, subscribe, comment. I would love to hear your comments on Apple versus Windows and why you use one or the other. Check it out in the comments section below. And have a great day, everybody.